The A Quiet Place timeline spans multiple movies and stands out among sci-fi horror for how fast the unprepared world changed with the arrival of the deadly monsters who hunt by sound. The first movie, 2018's A Quiet Place, takes place a year into the horrific phenomenon. Thanks to the 2020 sequel, A Quiet Place 2, the A Quiet Place timeline has been further fleshed out, providing more insight as to what happened. The franchise has also expanded past the first two films with the 2025 prequel A Quiet Place, Day 1 and a sequel with the delayed A Quiet Place 3. The first Quiet Place movie chronicles the Abbott family's story of survival with parents Lee and Evelyn, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, as well as their children over a few short days. A Quiet Place Part 2 provides a context to the story the first movie lays out. The sequel covers a few days after the first movie but significantly fleshes out the Quiet Place timeline and world. Upcoming installments will expand the timeline in both directions, showing the mid to long-term impact of the arrival, as well as detailing the first days after the alien invasion. A Quiet Place Part 2's opening sequence. The earliest point in the Quiet Place timeline for the Abbotts. The A Quiet Place timeline takes viewers back to the first moment of the alien invasion in Part 2 with a gripping opening sequence. This includes John Krasinski's Lee temporarily returning to the series. The movie shows the Abbotts living in a small, tight-knit community prior to the invasion. It was the kind of town that gathered for a Little League baseball game, as they did for one of Marcus in this opening scene. The crowd notices a flaming object falling from the sky, obviously foreshadowing the imminent arrival of the unwelcome guests. As people disperse, the monsters introduced in A Quiet Place descend on the townspeople. The family splits up as Evelyn and Lee have separate cars at the game. It's important to note that Regan opts to go with her father. The last time audiences saw the father and daughter, their relationship was tense. But A Quiet Place Part 2's opening sequence proves they were once incredibly close. Seeing them on good terms makes Lee's sacrifice, and what that loss means to the rest of the family, all the more devastating. A Quiet Place, Day 1. The first few days in New York are shown. The franchise's first prequel, A Quiet Place, Day 1, takes the timeline back to the earliest days of the alien invasion. The 2024 movie follows Sam, Lupita Nyong'o, and Eric, Joseph Quinn, as they unexpectedly pair up to try and survive in New York City. The story begins hours before the aliens crash land in New York as Sam goes with Ruben, Nat Wolff, to a puppet show. This should take place on June 17, 2020, according to the confirmed A Quiet Place timeline of events. A Quiet Place, Day 1 covers more than just the first day of the alien invasion. The film's story spans from Day 1 to Day 4, providing new information about what happens on each day in A Quiet Place's world. This includes showing Eric leaving New York on the same boat as Unri, Jaime and Honsu, which takes them both to the island in A Quiet Place Part 2. The final event of the film takes place on Day 4, even though it was previously established that this happened on Day 3.